Hey everyone, hope everybody's having a good week. Today is Thursday. We are doing the top 10 moments in Arizona Cardinals history. It's my personal top 10 moments in Arizona Cardinals history. We are divulging the list right now, so I'm going to be back with you here shortly to speak about the moments. I will say that the honorable mentions on this list, there's two of them. One is the Carlos Dansby touchdown in the 2009 NFC wildcard round where Aaron Rodgers got stripped. That was not a face mask. Okay, it was a face mask, but who cares? Because it didn't get called. We're going to talk about that later on this list as well in a similar moment. We've had enough calls go against Arizona sports teams over the years, so it's okay that we get a couple. And then number 11, and this one was waffling with number 10, was the Paul Allen, no! The Arizona Cardinals knocked the Vikings out of the playoffs! When Josh McCown and a very forgetful Cardinals team threw a touchdown to Nathan Poole. I can't even pronounce his name. Nathan Poole, who actually got forced out in 2003, actually. Forced out was a rule. If you got forced out but could get your feet down, the referee, it's a judgment call. They did change that a couple years later. This play was one of the reasons why. There actually was a big moment in the Chargers-Raiders game on Sunday Night Football where Parham got forced out by Casey Hayward in a heads-up play by Casey Hayward because you can do that, and if they don't get 2 feet down, it is an incomplete pass. Back then, they went, it's not pass interference, it's the force-out rule. Touchdown. Nathan Poole. Touchdown. Cardinals knocked the Vikings out of the playoffs. No Dante Culpepper. No Randy Moss. But you got Brett Favre instead that year to throw one of the many game-losing playoff interceptions that year at Philadelphia, just in case you want some Brett Favre history. Anyways, I'll be right back. My apologies, and then we'll get to the list. Sorry about that, guys. So the number 10 moment, for anyone who's under the age of 30, would definitely not remember this, but this was my first big Cardinals moment. I lived in Southern California as a little kid, moved to Arizona in the mid-90s, and immediately became a Cards fan. I just always was wanting to root for the underdog. I mean, I was kind of grew up an underdog. I didn't grow up with too much, and so the Cardinals were the team. Nobody cared about them. Everybody kind of didn't, they were on national TV only once a year. And in 1997, in week 2, they had lost to the Cowboys every game, 14 in a row for 7 straight seasons. The Cowboys had won 3 Super Bowls. They were the team of the 90s. They just absolutely would humiliate the Cardinals. And probably the most embarrassing moment was Buddy Ryan walking off the field in 1995 after a Monday night game when the Cardinals actually got to play on Monday Night Football on Christmas night, mind you. And the Cowboys humiliated them 37-13. Probably everybody remembers the footage from the movie Jerry Maguire, where the Cardinals actually won the game, and Rod We Trust, Rod Tidwell, Cuba Gooding Jr. That was obviously a fantastic movie. We just love that moment. But really what happened in that game was the Cowboys won 37-13, and it was one of the most embarrassing moments, honestly, in Arizona Cardinals history. And there's been some embarrassing moments. Maybe the first half of Detroit this season was up there for sure. Anyways, the Cardinals made a comeback. Kent Graham, who would forget friggin' Kent Graham? Anyways, Kent Graham led the Cardinals on a fourth quarter comeback, forced overtime, and then, of course, the big pass to Larry Centers to get the Cardinals into field goal range. But because it's the Cardinals against the Cowboys, a chip shot 21-yard field goal, Kevin Butler doinks off the left upright, but it went in, and the Cardinals were able to win the game 25-22 in what was the first great moment of my life. I remember watching it at my house in Scottsdale, my apartment, with my stepdad. It was a great moment. I was very, very exciting. And then as I wanted to show videos. The fans stormed the field and actually tore down the uprights. It was a big college football upset. But this win was a huge, huge deal for Cardinal fans everywhere. It was a kind of a monumental moment, and even though the Cardinals went 4-12 in 1997, Jake Plummer took over the starter's job later that season from Kent Graham, who, to be honest with you, this was the only game he actually won that season. He was 1-6. But, yeah, so that I know that that's not going to be on many people's lists, but this is my first great moment. As I remember in my lifetime being a Cardinals fan, I was about 14 years old back in that time. Yeah, I'm kind of old, because this was actually 25 years ago. All right, number 9. Okay, our boy Kyler. just to let you know, Larry Fitzgerald is going to be in a lot of these videos, as they would be in your top 10 moments as well. This is Larry Fitzgerald going in to cut the Detroit lead to 2. If you remember watching that game, I was at this game. This is the only one on the moment in the top 10 that I was actually there live. It was probably the most embarrassing half in week 1 I've ever seen. I don't know, 2018, actually the previous season with Sam Bradford was pretty bad too, actually. But the Cardinals, though, Kyler Murray was incredible in the fourth quarter, led the Cardinals from a 24-6 deficit over our boy Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions. And forced overtime, I remember us just going, Larry, Larry. It was the most exciting tie I've ever seen, which was almost trumped by Sunday night in Vegas. Thank you, Daniel Carlson and Rich Bisaccia and Derek Carr and Brandon Jacobs for actually winning the game, because that would have been kind of sad to actually make the playoffs on a tie. Anyways, a great moment here. I mean, the Cardinals, as I said, tied with the Lions at 27, but Kyler Murray, we're all like, maybe they should have kept Josh Rosen. No, that was put to bed pretty much immediately when we saw what Kyler did in the fourth quarter, forcing overtime. And what ended up being a tie game, unfortunately, Tremaine Brock, why didn't you catch it? I'm just saying, man. You had it. Pick 6, Matthew Stafford, which Cardinals fans are going to say that's what Matthew Stafford's going to do on Monday, right? He's going to throw a pick 6. We hope so. Number 8 was the NFC Championship. Spoiler alert, there'll be another moment in this game coming later. But this is Larry ignites crowd. Hightower touchdown gives the Cardinals lead in the NFC Championship game. The Cardinals were up 24-6 in this game and kind of collapsed in the second half. Donovan McNabb, the Eagles. To be honest with you, a hidden little thing, Donovan McNabb missed a lot of throws. Clancy Pendergraft blocked the house a lot in that game. The Eagles' offensive line was phenomenal that season. And did a great job. Watch that last drive. There was 3 different passes on that drive alone that Donovan McNabb just flat out missed. But the big moment was, and this is when I felt like I knew the Cardinals were going to win this game. It was a 2nd down and 9, and the Cardinals were at, I believe, the Eagles 18. And Kurt Warner, Dirty Kurt, threw a pass to Larry Fitzgerald. He caught it about 4 yards short of the first down. With Asante Samuel on his back, he pretty much drug him an extra 3 yards. Fell just short of the first down. Gets up and just is all just rah! And the fans go crazy. And I remember watching it with my buddies at my house, and I was in Tempe. I lived in Tempe at the time. We were just going nuts. And we're like, there is no way the Cardinals are not going to win this game. And of course, the brilliant play call by Todd Haley, Chiefs fans, favorite coach of all time, I must say. The screen pass to Tim Hightower on 3rd and goal. Took the house. Clever play call. Absolute perfect play call. Countering the Eagles' blitz on that play. Hightower took it to the house. Actually broke a tackle at the 1. Great lunge. Cardinals got the 2-point conversion. We know they won the game. It was a great moment. But I just remember Larry's enthusiasm. I mean, Larry had 3 touchdowns in that game, and that's the moment I remember from that game. Was that catch, that stretch after, and him just igniting the crowd. As he's done so many times. All right, number 7. True stand, baby. How can I remember? Oh, I forgot to show you guys this. That's Larry after the play. It's pretty fired up. How can you forget this, guys? Drew Stanton's shimmy. Andre Ellington taking it to the house. What I remember from that night, the Cardinals had a big lead, and then all of a sudden Carson Palmer started fumbling the ball, and the Seahawks came back and took the lead, even though the Seahawks weren't doing much of anything on offense. And I remember getting so mad at my wife. My wife's like, screw you, I'm going to the room, slams the door, so I'm watching half drunk in the living room. And Carson Palmer went on a big-time drive. One of the most underrated big-time drives, and probably, honestly, you could argue maybe the biggest regular season win that I can remember outside of maybe a moment that I'll show later that happened way earlier in time. But this was a huge, probably the biggest regular season win, in my opinion, from the Cardinals in the 21st century. Was this game in Seattle. It kind of proved that the Cards were legit. They were the team in the NFC West. And Andre Ellington running down the sidelines to put the game away. And then Drew Stanton shimmying on the sideline, which is a great teammate, even though he's a backup quarterback. But actually, I love Drew Stanton. He had a lot of great moments. 2014, I'm sure you remember, Drew Stanton was a big reason why the Cardinals even made the playoffs that season, getting big wins over the Niners, over the St. Louis Rams before he got injured. Actually came in the first game against the St. Louis Rams. The Rams were still in St. Louis in 2014. And that was sadly the last time the Cardinals beat the Rams in Arizona. So let's talk about that. Another big-time regular season win, back to 2008. The Cowboys, people forget, the Cowboys went 13-3 with a number 1 seed in the NFC. Tony Romo was the flavor of the league. And then in 2008, the Cowboys started 4-1, were laying teams to waste, looked like the best team in football. And then they stroll into Arizona. The Cardinals, in typical Cardinal fashion, outplay them, but let the Cowboys come back, call a timeout on a blocked field goal. And then, of course, Nick Folk, who's still kicking with the Pats, still a really good kicker. He was kicking with the Cowboys back in 2008. Nails the 52-yarder to force overtime. Cowboys get the ball first. Actually, big sack. I believe it was Bertrand Berry that got the big sack, if I recall. Remind me, Cardinals fans, if it wasn't Bertrand Berry, but I believe he was the one who got the big sack. Actually injured Tony Romo's thumb on the play. Was able to force a punt. The Cowboys were punting from deep in their own territory. Sean Morey comes, blocks the punt, breaks the Cowboys punter's leg, if I recall on that. Monty Beisel picks it up in the end zone, touchdown. We're just all just like, at my place, we're like, what? Did that really just happen? As you can see, he pretty much just took the ball off his foot, Sean Morey, on this play. But yeah, it really did just happen. Cardinals win the game 30-24. It was really a moment in which the Cardinals proved to the league that they were legit, too legit to quit. Little MC Hammer for you. The Cowboys ended up being a little fraudulent, ended up missing the playoffs. The Cardinals, of course, made it to the playoffs and eventually made it to the Super Bowl. This was the, I think, marquee regular season win that kind of proved that the Cardinals were the best team in the NFC West and also a team to reckon with in the NFC, even though they were very flawed in 2008. Kurt Warner, obviously, was fantastic that season. Anyways, we haven't had a sponsor in a while, but here's our sponsor. It is Snacky Cakes. They come in packs of 2 for a reason. You can buy them at your local grocery store, Snacky Cakes. Anyways, thank you, Snacky Cakes. I appreciate it. But let's continue with the videos. Let's go to a different board. Number 5, it's a little bit blurry vision. We wanted to be blurry vision, Cardinal fans, because we don't want to believe it. But Rod Hood's pass breakup, right? Cards go to Super Bowl. Donovan McNabb misses back-to-back easy passes, just throws it. Actually got lucky Adrian Wilson and pick it off at him in the foot on the previous play. 4th down and 10. Under the 2-minute warning, Eagles have 1 timeout left, so pretty much the Cardinals seal the game as long as they could stop them. Kevin Curtis cuts out, gets tangled up with Roderick Hood. Cards corner. Pass is broken up. Curtis can't hold on. It wasn't his hands, even though he was falling down. Roderick Hood, of course, jumps on his teammate's arms. I believe it was Antro Roll. Cardinals fans are going crazy. We're going crazy at my house in Tempe. We're giving each other high fives. We're going out to the Vine on campus, ASU, baby. If you guys remember that. I think that bar still exists. Maybe I should go check it out when I'm in Arizona next week. Arizona's wins the game, 32-25. Troy Aikman, rightfully so, was like, I don't know, Joe, that may have been pass interference. It was pass interference. We got away with it. Doesn't matter because we got the stop. Like, they didn't throw the flag, so if they don't throw the flag, ask them in New Orleans in the 2018 Nfc Championship game. If they don't throw the flag, it does not matter. But that was a great moment in Cards history. Cards win. We go to the Super Bowl. Let's continue. All right. My roommate back in my house in Tempe when I lived off ASU's campus, Jordan, shout out to you if you're watching. He's a huge Raiders fan, by the way. Raiders in the playoffs. But he hopped on the Cards bandwagon. He's a native Arizonan, but obviously when he was born and grew up, the Cardinals were terrible. The Cardinals didn't even exist, of course, when he was very young, because they didn't come to Arizona until 1988. He's on the bandwagon after they beat Atlanta. And he actually went, I remember him buying a Cardinal shirt before this game. And the Cardinals are up 20-7 late in the second quarter. Jake Delhomme, actually Bill Simmons created a term called a full Delhomme when you have, 6 turnovers in a playoff game. Jake Delhomme had one of the worst performances in the history of NFL playoffs this day. So once this touchdown happened with the way Delhomme was playing, we knew the Cards had this game. But Larry Fitzgerald catches the ball across the field and he goes sprint towards the sideline. He stretches out. Like, Larry Fitzgerald is probably one of the most smartest players in NFL history. He's just, like, you saw him last season on Sunday night against the Seahawks. Grabbed the ball after Chase Edmonds' drop play that got the Cardinals in the field goal range. ran with the ball, handed it to the referee to make sure the Cards were able to clock the ball in time to set up a game-tying field goal. One of the few actually clutch kicks that Zane Gonzalez made. Larry Fitzgerald anyway stretches around the pile, and the reason why I put 27-7 is Jordan starts screaming after this happens, 27-7! 27-7! 27-7! Around the house with a beer in his hand. It was hilarious. It was awesome. Obviously, we had some fun that night. Afterwards, Mill Avenue, whoop whoop, as the Cardinals would win. In Carolina, has a 10-point underdog. Probably should have back then thrown some money on the Cardinals because Kurt Warner, in any year of any era, was a better quarterback than Jake Delhomme, and we always know take the better quarterback usually in the playoffs. Moving on. Number 3. Al Michaels and Chris Collins were losing their mind on this play. Like, this is just the craziest game I've ever seen. He probably trumped that with this Raiders-Chargers game last Sunday night. But, like, first play of overtime, and I remember we were at a bar, Jackson's, in Centennial, Colorado, where I lived at the time, off of Arapahoe Road, just in case any of you guys don't know where that is. I'm sure you know exactly what bar I'm talking about. We were at Jackson's watching the game, and everybody just went, oh! One of the moments when it's a neutral bar, it's like, there's just people there watching the game. When Aaron Rodgers did Aaron Rodgers scene and made maybe one of the most ridiculous throws I've ever seen in my life to force overtime. And Steph is like, Andrew, you're going to divorce me, huh? Because she jinxed it. She's like, you remember when he did it against the Lions earlier that season? He can't do that again. He can't throw another Hail Mary. And then he did. Thankfully, Mike McCarthy kicked the extra point. Cardinals won the toss when they didn't flip it, and Aaron Rodgers is like, the coin didn't flip! The coin didn't flip! So they flip the coin again. Lands on tails. Cards win the toss. Very first play of overtime. Carson Palmer play action fake. Somehow he spins, avoids, Clay Matthews and I forget 76. I forget the defensive lineman's name. As I said, please in the comments let me know. Spins away, runs to the side, throws across his body to Larry Fitzgerald. Nobody's over there, and all of a sudden Larry just starts running, and he's running, and everybody in the bar just starts getting him. It's like, go Larry, go Larry, go Larry. I could even hear my friends probably at their houses in Arizona, go, run, Larry, run! And he almost takes it to the house, takes it to the 5-yard line. That was one of the most incredible moments probably any fan could ever endure. And there's still 2 more, obviously, on top of this. But that was, in my opinion, that was the best divisional playoff game I have ever seen. Not the best playoff game, but the best divisional playoff game I have ever seen in my life. That game was absolutely bananas. And the Cards ended up winning the game on just an incredible play by Larry Fitzgerald, incredible play by Carson Palmer, a clever play by Bruce Arians on the shovel pass, which totally caught the Packers defense off guard. And unfortunately next week we're not going to talk about it. The Cardinals still have beaten Carolina in recent history. Let's just throw that away. We're going to go anyways to number 2. Back to 1998, everyone. The following year. So the Cardinals went 4-12 the previous year, had a great moment, beat the Cowboys. Hooray. Didn't beat the Cowboys in 1998, but still finished 9-7. They were 8-7 going to the final week. It was between the Cardinals and Tampa Bay for the last playoff spot. Tampa Bay had won previously in the day, which meant the Cardinals had to beat the San Diego Chargers, who were not very good. The Chargers somehow on a 4th and 27, if I recall, tie the game with 20 seconds left. We're going to go to overtime. Typical Arizona sports team, going to blow it. Not the case. Eric Metcalf takes a kickoff into the Chargers territory. Jake Plummer finds Frank Sanders. You remember old time, great underrated wide receiver, Frank Sanders. Kind of hidden Cardinals great. Gets him into lengthy field goal range, especially back in 1998 for veteran Chris Jacke, who had just got signed a few weeks earlier. I don't know if you remember, Joe Nedney was the Cards kicker. He actually had a couple of game-winning kicks. Had one against the Washington football team earlier that year in a game that we thought the Cardinals were going to blow a late lead. But thankfully, Jake the Snake, the Cardiac Cards, as they were calling him that year, Chris Jacke nails the field goal from 52. The Cards, for the second time in as many years, have a game where the fans storm the field because it is a college stadium. Sun Devil Stadium was where the Cards were playing back then. what I remember from that, I remember my mom being like, Andrew, quiet down, because my mom's more of a football fan than she was at the time. I remember I was watching in my little, honestly, 13-inch tube TV in my bedroom in Scottsdale. And I remember like, oh, Cardinals win, blah, blah, blah. And I remember my mom telling me to quiet down. And I remember, because the NFL games were blacked out back then, all of the Cardinals home games were blacked out. The Cardinals obviously were a joke. The fan base was not as big back then. Very, very seldom, usually only when they played the Cowboys. And I would say 75% of the stadium were Cowboy fans. Would the stadium sell out? You know, they had the steel bench seats early in the season. It was miserable to even go to the games, and it was like 105, 110 degrees outside. Anyways, Cardinals storm the field, tear down the goalpost. What I was trying to get to was Circle K, actually, I believe it was Circle K and CBS actually sponsored and got a deal with the NFL. They sold enough tickets, then they bought the rest of the tickets. The local CBS affiliate and Circle K bought enough tickets to consider the game a sellout before the Friday deadline, so the Cardinals game could be seen on local television. Kind of sad story, but actually, it was honestly the moment that actually, I think, catapulted the Cardinals to actually get some support. Later on, of course, 10 years later, when Kurt Warner years came, 2008, 2009, when the Cards won the Super Bowl. The following year, back-to-back, NFC West championships. Things changed. But this was probably the first actually glorious moment, honestly, in Arizona Cardinals history. Maybe 1988 when they came back and beat the 49ers. If you guys remember Neil Lomax, the Cardinals, when they first came into existence in 87, 88, were not a bad team. Not a bad team. I believe that season they were 7-9. Faded down the stretch. They actually were 7-4 after that win. It's a little bit of Cardinals history for you guys, for anyone who's younger and like to know some interesting Cardinals history. And the number one, unfortunately, is going to be the only moment in the game the Cards lost. I guess number 9 was in a tie. But how could it not be? I'll tell you where I was. I was at a friend, name is Joe, had a townhouse in Mesa, and we were at a house party. And I was standing next to my friend Chris, and we were drinking drinks, from 25 at the time. I'm a baby. We were drinking drinks from a styrofoam cup. Drinking beer, a styrofoam cup. Larry Fitzgerald catches the pass down the middle and sprints, and you see him sprinting in between Ike Taylor, Troy Polamalu, and James Harrison. 3 legendary Steelers. One's a Hall of Famer. James Harrison, I think, should be a Hall of Famer as well. Sprinting in between them to the house. And I just remember my friend Chris and I just start jumping up and down. We're like punching each other in the face, literally. We're punching each other in the face. And Chris throws his beer up in the air. And I don't even know where the beer landed, to be honest with you. It may have landed on someone, but who cares in that moment? We're just all, it's pandemonium, as they would call it in Buffalo. It's pandemonium. We're just going crazy. And I just remember Al saying 30, 20, 10, Arizona has the lead. And we're just going crazy. And of course, Big Ben goes down and wins the game for the Steelers in the end. And it sucked, I know. It was sucky 15 minutes later. But in that moment, for like those, I'd say 3 minutes, it was probably the greatest moment, I don't know, outside of Luis Gonzalez winning the World Series for the D-backs in 01. It was the second greatest moment. And honestly, it was 1A. Like, it was one of the greatest sports, it was the greatest sports moment of my life, arguably, with the Luis Gonzalez moment. Luis Gonzalez blooper in 01. And really, it was just incredible, the euphoric state. I could feel that. My wife is a Chiefs fan. I remember when Damian Williams was running to the house. We actually were down in Florida to watch this against the 49ers a couple years ago. I just remember just the feeling she had, and I can feel it through her, and that's how I felt in this moment. The only difference is the Damian Williams moment was, oh my gosh, we're going to win the Super Bowl. This was, oh my gosh, could we win the Super Bowl? We did not. But I truly believe, and I think you guys too, I would be shocked if this was the year, but you know what? They're in it. They have a chance. I know they faded down the stretch, but if they can beat an equally kind of dumbfounding Rams team on Monday night, that might start the momentum we need. So believe, Cardinals fans, that it can get done. I have hope and faith. As long as you have a quarterback, and Kyler's a good quarterback, you have a chance. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Go to drewsports.com to see the rest of the videos. You can see all of the videos on that website. I got everything linked. It's going to take you to YouTube. There's obviously a lot of copyrights, but unfortunately I cannot show it in this video because of copyrights. NFL might sue me. I don't want that to happen. Anyways, thank you so much, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day.